my name is Sheena Van, and I will be covering Week 3 Early Management Theories Discussion Board presentation. To our brief overview, we're going to cover The Government is Different, Paul Appleby, Notes on the Theory of Organizations by Luther Gulick, and Bureaucratic Structure and Personality by Robert Merton, all pulling from the classics of public administrations from this week's readings. Starting with the article from Paul Appleby, Government is Different, page 119, where he uses the metaphor of a judge and a lawyer, the judge being government and the lawyer being business in this case. In that the judge, government, will, administer the laws as fairly as possible with no real self-interest, more for the service of the people. Whereas in this case, the business, the lawyer, has its own agenda, has its own goals, of course working within the law, but serving its own self-interests. Further adding to the character of government on page 122, how government is different from any other institution or business is with breadth of scope, basically nationwide, right? Made to be fair and equal, laws for the good of all, whereas business is again focused on smaller markets, more unique to their specific industry and profit. Public accountability, is higher than it is in business. Anything goes wrong, in a business, essentially it can be resolved and no one knows about it other than the internals. Those that are in public eye, more government, things can often get looked at it differently on page 122. Moving on to notes on the theory of organization, Luther Gulick on page 79, it really just says, why divide work? Because men differ in nature, capacity, and skill, and gain greatly in dexterity by specialization, because the same man cannot be at two places at once, because the range of knowledge and skill is so great that a man cannot, within his lifespan, know more than a small fraction of it. In other words, it is a question of human nature, time, and space. So basically, the more complex, an organization became, the need for the study and how to specify each division according to skill and labor. One thing that called out to me was this unity of command on page 83, where there's one master. So that way there's nothing confusing, as opposed to when you have multiple supervisors. I've seen this in my personal experience where you really don't know who to go to under certain authority, and to prevent confliction and confusion and produce, productivity and positive morale in the workforce. It is important to know who your supervisor is and the chain of command. Dealing with bureaucratic structure and personality, article is by Robert Merton. And he really focuses on the hierarchy status within the organization and the power of control and how it derives from the position within the role and not the person itself. And so I see this in my organization as far as having this CEO, and then you have the acting board members, and then you have the volunteers, the service volunteers underneath them with the committees. And then underneath those with the committees, you have those that are just participants within the organization that services the body of the community. To summarize, Paul Appleby, government exists for a reason. and is to protect the public. Business really is not there. They don't have that ability or capacity to do that, or the authority. And then with Luther Golek, and having the division of labor, it's important that everybody knows their specific task and what they're responsible for, and what they're capable of within their means, within their ability and skill level. So that way everybody benefits. And then with Robert Merton, and really having that hierarchy and chain of command approach, the formal, the various offices, and just having that formal means, organizational rules, and being able to grow by being devoted to that. And so forth. And so in business and government, we go through seasons of change, and it's definitely important to do your research and survey the needs of the community for business needs as well as governmental. Thank you.